Ahead in the Glasshouse, a community service announcement.
The oceans are home to some of the world's most magnificent creatures, but sadly, they're in trouble. Yes, I'm talking about Japanese scientists. For decades, hundreds of profoundly stupid scientists have been cutting up whales and still haven't found out anything new about them. Well, apart from they taste delicious with wasabi. The more information you can give these slow learners, the quicker they can stop slaughtering whales to find out what makes them tick. Last year, they killed 600 Mickeys alone just to try to find one that was ticking. Send books, diagrams, even old copies of Free Willy to the Scientific Hunting and Marine Expedition. Save the whales. Educate a Japanese scientist today. G'day folks, welcome to the Glasshouse, the program that asks the question, is this the first time we've beaten Japan without any help from the Yanks? More news than Socceroo hullabaloo this week. When the US military announced the death of Iraq's al-Qaeda boss Musab al-Zarqawi, they had a nice big photograph of him to show the media. Now, is it just me, or is it a bit strange they had the photo framed? Apparently at the Baghdad 1 Hour Photo Lab, you get a free framed enlargement with every roll of dead terrorist. When I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, they've killed Pavarotti. Our caring, sharing government has been slammed for paying Australian peacekeepers in East Timor less than soldiers in Iraq because the Timor mission isn't classified as warlike. Apparently they're just on holiday with guns. And those gangs armed with machetes are probably just looking for some hedge cutting work. We're from Jim's militia. Brendan Nelson says the mission is classified as the very top end of non-warlike. War is when you're being shot at constantly. Warlike is when you're being shot at occasionally. And the top end of non-warlike includes the Cronulla riots, rugby league bonding weekends, and Russell Crowe. The decision is entirely driven by money, but Peter Costello sympathised with the soldiers. After all, he's at the very top end of non-Prime Minister. Here's one. According to Heath Ledger's dad, after paparazzi squirted little Heathy with water pistols, he cried all night, which didn't help him dry off at all. He had to go to his own movie premiere wet, although he usually is when he watches himself on screen. Well, what's he crying about? In Brokeback Mountain, he was squirted with stuff much worse than water.
Construction news, Bob the Welder. In Iraq, over 3,500 workers are building what will be the largest American embassy in the world. That should be easy to hit. Funny, I thought Iraq was a US embassy. It's 42 hectares, which is the size of Vatican City, and it contains a beauty salon, recreation building, gym and pool. See, now that's what I call democracy. Gee, it's so much better now that that crazy tyrant Saddam isn't wasting all the country's resources on overblown palaces. My favourite bit of the story is that the $790 million embassy's existence is meant to be a secret. Don't tell anyone. 21 buildings, 42 hectares, the size of Vatican City, and it's a secret. Geez, if news spreads any further, Bush might find out.
Bad news this week, guys. Bad news. I haven't written my opening. No, because I haven't worked for 2 days. I've been sick. You know why?
What?
I got Socceroo fever. How was Monday night when Australia won the World Cup?
We didn't win the World Cup.
Didn't win at all.
No.
No, but didn't we? We beat Japan, wasn't it? It was a great night. And you know what the soccer's doing? It's uniting this country. All the different cultures, we're being united. Together, we're hating other countries. There you go, Japan. That's for killing all those whales. That's for bombing Darwin in 1941. We got your back. It was great, though. Did you guys watch it? Did you watch it?
Oh, good.
You didn't watch it?
No, I didn't watch it.
Get out of this country! It was fantastic. I watched it at a pub with 80 other men. And now I know what it feels like to be gay. Seriously, it was like 2 hours of foreplay. We're all going, oh, nearly, oh. And then eventually, it was a goal and we all orgasmed at once. And that wasn't the best thing, then we orgasmed again and again. We had multiple orgasms. I'm spent.
All right, let's get to it. Joining me, Corinne and Dave, for Throws for Science in the Glasshouse tonight, a champion of Australian athletics, the long-distance legend, Steve Monaghan. And that long, tall netball girl, Liz Ellis. All right, movers and shakers. First up, 8-year-old Rory Matthews from country Victoria, who doesn't have any brothers or sisters. So he does his footy training with a pig, a dog, a cow and an alpaca called Chicky. Rory didn't have a football either. So he, the dog, the cow and the alpaca had to kick the pig around. Rory's learnt some great tricks from Jet the Collie too, like how a cold, wet nose in just the right spot can make your opponent drop the ball immediately. Steve, you love to run. How did you train when you were little?
Seriously, I did actually, you will laugh,
Yeah.
I didn't have a paddock, but I did run around my house at home.
Oh, how
So
cute.
is that a great, you like that?
Yeah, how many laps would you do?
Lots and 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 lots. Is that a lot? Lots
So
and lots
you didn't live
and
in
lots
a
of
big
laps.
house, so it's a normal-sized house, you just run around it, yeah.
Yeah, my mum and dad still live in the same house.
It's got a big
Yeah.
moat around it.
There's a moat.
They can't move, I ran a path. And then I went to around the block, and then my next-door neighbour saw me and invited me out to a running race. That seriously is how it started. So
At what age did your next-door neighbour notice you running?
he noticed me running when I was 14 years of age.
Really?
How old was your next door neighbour? Oh, I like that boy in those short shorts. I should invite him to a running race.
That's true.
G'day to Steve's next-door neighbour.
And he will be watching. And now you know why I became a marathon runner, because I just kept running. Self-protection.
You still run 100 kilometres a week, don't
Yes,
you?
yeah, most weeks.
You've
yeah.
retired,
Yeah.
mate. Why don't
Like
you
I'm
just go-
telling everyone, I used to be absolutely obsessed. Now I'm just obsessed. So I'm working through
Every
it. This is
single
just part
day
of
you get
my
up and run 20
psyche.
kilometres. What, you went... That's... Why?
I mean, look, I didn't want to say anything, but you do look like you could lose some weight.
So you're going to be fine when we have this massive petrol oil crisis. You'll still be able to go on holidays to the Gold Coast.
That's my only problem. I run 200 kilometres a week, but I still end up at my home. It's unfortunate. Wouldn't you think I'd go somewhere? Get a bit of
Well, you can come and live
out
with
of
me. I'll ride you to the shops.
On saddle or without saddle?
I'm not saying
No
you're not...
hands.
I'm not saying you're not fit, though. What the hell? But you're so lean, Steve. I mean, you not eat some days and then you're running and you disappear?
No, it's just part of my job, you know. I love what I do, and it's allowed me to eat and drink what I want. Seriously, you would be stunned how much I eat and drink.
Really?
Because you burn up so much energy.
Yeah.
This is it. It's a great, you know, it's the weight loss theory. Like I tell everyone, it's not hard. Weight loss, you eat what you like anytime you want it. Part 1. Part 2, you run 200 kilometres a week. Why do they lose attention at part 2? What happened? It's not that hard.
Our next movers and shakers come from Britain, where recruitment in the armed forces is suffering as mothers discourage their children from joining up. The army calls it the mum factor. English mothers don't want their sons going overseas to fight people, unless they're football fans. The army is now thinking of confusing parents by renaming itself the Extreme Scouts. But why can't new recruits take their mums with them? Nothing fixes up a bullet wound like spit on a hanky. Of course, there is another way around this. Recruit orphans. Come on, they weren't wanted in the first place, and they certainly won't be missed if they don't come back. Come in, you have a strong maternal instinct. Would you let your kids go to war?
Not the favourite one. Well, Dad, don't you think that I don't have children, but I assume you have one and you really love that and then the rest are just spares? I'm the eldest, so that's what I assume.
Yeah, but that sort of attitude, I can't believe you haven't had kids yet.
I don't have kids like Corinne, and I think I'm up to about 7,000 reasons to not have kids.
Yeah, sure.
I've got 2 reasons to have kids. One is when they turn 17, they can drive you places.
Yeah.
I forget the other.
I know, the other reason is so they can remind you about the things you've forgotten in old age.
Thank you, that's
Not that you're old.
The thing that
mention
worries
age.
me about having a baby is I like the idea of babies, but I don't know what I would do with it when I went to the toilet.
Most people just put it down.
But you can't in a public toilet. Not in a public
Can't you
toilet.
take it with you?
Are you a...
But yet, how do you get your pants down and hold the baby at the same time?
Cheap ass, buy a pram.
I didn't think of that.
Who does have Steve? Have you got kids?
4.
Yeah.
4 kids,
So that's
yeah.
why you run, is it?
Do they understand what a superstar you are?
No, they're used. They've got used to me being out and people recognising me. You know, you know what it's like when you're out in public and they just put up with it. They're quite good because they pick up the bits I don't get. You know, I'm walking along and then they're dropping behind and they'll come up later and they'll say, oh, you know, Dad, you should have heard what they were saying. But, you know, they're talking about, they're going, that's it, Steve Monaghetti and he's a loser. You know, and they don't hide it, they tell you.
I love these stories about mums who are really concerned about their kids, because my parents were always the opposite with me. I'm sure they were concerned about me, but they sort of tried to toughen me up as we were growing up. And I was diagnosed with asthma when I was a little kid, and I got in the Australian netball team and I had my first medical, and they've gone, oh, so you're a severe asthmatic? And no, I think I'm just a mild asthmatic. And I went home and asked Mum, she goes, oh, yeah. But the doctor told us and we agreed, just tell you you're a mild asthmatic and you get over it.
What?
All those boyfriends who thought they were doing well because you were heavy breathing and you were just dying.
Are you the eldest?
Yes, I am.
You are the eldest, so they like the spares more than they like you.
There's only one spare and, yeah, I guess Kat's it.
She's a severe asthmatic. Come on, make her run. Go tell her, make her run.
Yeah, actually, they bought me cats and I'm allergic to cats. My parents are delightful, but I'm glad that they, like, tried to toughen me up a bit, because sometimes, like, in sport, you would have seen this, there's pushy parents and... And often the amount that a parent pushes is inversely proportional to their child's ability.
Well, my dad didn't push me at all in life. No, he didn't. He didn't think I was funny at all. He still doesn't.
Our favourite movers and shakers this week are Australian footy players from every code who, unbelievably, seem to be getting dumber. When a fan called Port Adelaide ruckman Dean Brogan a dickhead, Brogan responded by breaking his nose and splattering him with his own blood. Got to hand it to him, that's a pretty clever comeback. One league player has just been convicted of also breaking a nose, and another bit an 18-year-old girl on the arm. But he apologised, saying he was pissed, horny, and thought she was just a kebab with really nice boobs. All these incidents have been blamed on alcohol. Things have got so bad, the Parramatta League team even called it an alcohol summit. Unfortunately, the players got confused and all brought a slab. Liz, you like to get drunk with football players. Isn't it great they've brought back the biff?
I like biff. I think I'm a fan of biff. I think it should be brought back, but perhaps on the field. And the surprising thing about this is not that these guys behave, you know, they're paid a lot of money to behave like Neanderthals on field. It's funny that we're surprised when they behave like Neanderthals off field. They're just doing as they're paid to do.
Yeah.
You know, you're funny sometimes, even when you're not on television.
Well, let's thank Liz for being on the show tonight. We've got a new thing now where we evict someone each team.
7-foot-tall footballers shouldn't punch guys at airports at 1:30 in the afternoon, I don't believe.
But would you get upset if someone said, Hughesy, you're a dickhead, you should be working for Triple M?
Well, they do say that quite often.
That's the thing. The article that Jason Ackermanis wrote, going, "Oh, you got no idea the names that people call me." Oh, get over it.
But it does hurt, though, I must
It does, but it does hurt. But I don't go around hitting people. I get called slut quite a bit.
Yeah, but that's because you have sex with a lot of men.
No.
Just because, but you're right. But just because somebody says something mean, like about you or your family, doesn't mean that you should hit them if you're watching Shannon.
But you just come back with something witty, don't you? Or even if you're a footballer.
Hard to come out with
yeah.
something witty.
Like, shut up, isn't that witty?
You think it's things witty when you're about, you know, the next day. If I had said that to them, that would have got them. At the time, I mean...
Well, you can just ignore it
is
as well.
difficult.
Jesus. I mean, do you get sledged?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Now,
I've had beer bottles thrown at me.
You've had
when
beer bottles thrown at you?
Yeah.
When you're running.
Yep. Yeah, they were driving in a car at the time. And
You know,
they're lucky I'm not a sprinter, let me tell you.
it was bloody Robert De Costello. That's what it was. A moustache and a beer bottle. That's it. And a bottle of Centrium.
I'd like to get some groupies, I think, for netballs. Like, some of these guys have got, like, some of the problems is girls who may or may not be groupies. And
Sure.
I think I'd like some groupies, about 18, young, male.
18?
Well, you're on TV.
18 years old, not 18 of them. If you want 18, you should just go on a Bulldogs end of season trip. But
What about the reserves?
Creepers. No wonder you got some excess energy.
And I'm the one who gets called slut. I don't need to run 100k in a
I'm
week.
not excited, it's just my asthma.
Would you get sledged when you were running in a competition?
There's a
Ladies and
respect
stuff?
in distance running because they understand that it's a long way to run, and I love it when... I think that's a gimme, and that we're not all that intelligent, so why would they give us cheek anyway? Because we're not going to respond with anything smart, because if we were smart, we wouldn't be running a marathon in the first place. Let's be honest,
Also,
it's true.
well, I mean, you are an easy target because you're all built like Montgomery birds. You
Seriously, Monners, punch her in the face.
Is she serious? I think she's being serious.
She's serious.
That's not a joke.
She thinks she could take you.
It's all right, Monners, ignore the slut.
Later in the Glasshouse, open warfare between Labor Party factions results in some nasty drive-by nipple cripples.
They knew 9 years ago how sensitive that was.
Tasmanian Premier Paul Lennon gets the Queer Eye makeover.
It hasn't worked.
And Alexander Downer sums up everything he did between the ages of 14 and 20.
I didn't enjoy it very much when I did it, and I wasn't very good at it.
Just when you think cricket can't get any more disturbing, we found this ad the other day for Steve. the little Aussie super sub. Little Steve is 24 inches long, which, if you believe the rumours, is exactly twice as long as little Shane. The ad says Steve, the super sub, will bowl you over because he's truly real. By truly real, they mean he's made of vinyl and stuffed with surgical waste. And when the doll gets possessed by an evil spirit with an illegal bowling action, you can call him Chucky. Chucky, that's an excellent cricket joke. Dave, wouldn't you love to cuddle up to little Steve?
I mean, I love my cricket, but I can categorically say no. It's freaky. What's going on there? Is what he's selling his illegitimate children?
It is really creepy. Isn't it something like $250?
Someone's buying this. I want to know
Who's
if it's like...
buying them?
Well, I don't know. It's the same... No, maybe not the people who bought the Boonie doll. Like
They
when you
go-
buy a
Oh,
slab.
yeah, that's
so there's a
right.
different... The Boonie doll was sort of cool because it talked and stuff, and it was Boonie. Little Steve, I don't know.
No, that's great. I reckon John Howard's got one. He's renamed it Tom Bradman. Yeah, I love you, doll.
It is quite, like, there is something quite lifelike about it, though. Like, I mean, I'd just like to get one and, like, you know, pretend it is a real kid and then, like, get on a plane and put it in the overhead lockup.
Stick it to the window like one of those Garfield dolls in your car.
I had a name for it. I was going to nickname it Falklands because obviously, I'm thinking they're copying Steve Waugh, so I thought, well, it's only a little war.
Mon has brought his own jokes. That's fantastic. In the UK, a flock of singing sheep have recorded a version of Land and Hope and Glory to cheer England to victory in the World Cup. And still a little bit better to listen to than James Blunt. So... here's my one. Bar Beckham, love the way you play. It's cool to have a high voice and act a little gay. Score a goal at training and one on the pitch. Why don't you leave that wife of yours? She's a skinny bitch.
I get annoyed by those songs, and they're so annoying that you kind of, they get in your head and you want to put them on your ringtone. I thought it could be a shearing tone. It's the best I can do.
You're quite the pun master.
Seriously?
You two should swap seats.
Now that Steve's not running marathons, he's doing Christmas bonbon jokes.
No, they are bad. They are bad. No, seriously,
You've got a lot of time to think when you run, don't you? Tell us when that one, what was that, the 15K mark?
I love this. This is awesome. Me and you should just have a show. We'll do a sports show.
But you love sport, though. You truly love sport. Because you watched Australia beat Japan, didn't you?
Yep.
Will
I did
Anderson.
a couple of nights ago. Yep.
Did Will Anderson watch?
No.
No, I didn't watch Australia, no.
I think the best thing about soccer is the highlights. I went to sleep at half-time. But I had my Socceroos jersey on.
You've got to go through the whole thing. You don't deserve the highlights.
I don't.
Because you love soccer and always have, haven't you, Dave?
I haven't always loved it, but I've jumped on board big time.
Do you call it soccer, or are we really on the band? Are you calling it football?
No,
yet?
it'd always be soccer to me. Don't be stupid.
What defensive pattern did Australia play last night?
Oh, defensive pattern. Don't let them get the ball in the goal.
Yes, it's time to award the coveted Glasshouse trophy, which is... Oh. And the winner of the Yakuza Palooza Antiseptic Cream of Shame is a 58-year-old would-be bank robber from Japan who walked into a branch, asked the teller, "Any idea how you rob a bank?" was asked to leave and quietly did so. Apparently he started by walking in and shouting, "Is this a stick-up?" But of course the teller couldn't help him. She'd only been trained in how to rob customers. So the trophy goes to the terror of Tokyo's bank tellers. Concerned about their image, the Japanese underworld is now running training courses for beginner criminals. You'll be able to study grievous bodily chopsticks, Poisoning with blowfish, they're needing the evidence. How to get away with a crime by not asking how to do it. And putting on a lab coat, then sneaking up on whales. Well, that's the way it is for Wednesday, June the 14th. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Steve. And let's take a look at tomorrow's headlines. In the Daily Tally, Australia beats Japan. In unrelated news, midget subs seen in Sydney Harbour. The New York Times claims Jordan helped lead US to Zakawi. Busty model says he liked a handful. According to West Australian, Beasley caves in. I had to crap in Gillard's hat, says Rudd. And the UK Mail has new shock for Paul McCartney's wife, Heather Mills. Yoko Ono now more popular. Good night.
Tomorrow night, join 18 super smart teenagers as they compete to be part of